Hello, hello. Welcome to the Inbetween, where we talk about what's in,
what's out,
and everything in between. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Toni all day. Welcome to the Inbetween Pod. Let's get in between some things.
And today's a very special episode because we kind of have roughly done this before. This is the first time we're officially introducing this segment.
Yeah.
This is IBT Newsroom, where we talk about what's in between politics. Everything new and happening. Just, I was going to say unbiased, but that's just not truthful. We're going to give you all the facts, but we always got something to say.
If you want unbiased, baby,
go to Al Jazeera.
Hello.
We're not doing that. The Guardian, that kind of stuff. We're going to tell you all the facts. But we got something to say, always.
Hello.
Look,
so this is IBT's first 100 days in office. We're going to give you guys a rundown of all the happenings going on politically. Today's focus is going to be in the U.S., but y'all know we must dabble. We must dibble and dabble.
We dibble, we dab.
As Nigerian Americans, we must, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, no ins, no outs, just in between today.
Exactly. So let's get right to it. So...
Yes.
At this point, if you're watching now, and oh my gosh, by the time this comes out, the pause on the TikTok ban will have been lifted. So I don't know if TikTok will be out. I don't have it. I just got a new phone. I'm really sad, y'all. But introing our 100 days in office, we kind of wanted to talk about what y'all's president has been doing since he took the seat. Namely, there was a little collab that we didn't really ask for between him and TikTok. And backstory, they've been soft launching for months that, TikTok is going to be canceled. Yeah. We're going to get rid of TikTok unless they sell to an American company or an American buyer to keep our American data safe. We all know it's more than that. They don't really care about it because Bezos and Musk and everybody else has access to our data. But anyway, they wanted American access to our data, but apparently, TikTok and Trump have been in cahoots because, lo and behold, 12 hours after they took TikTok off the market, paused it. We couldn't even watch any Get Ready With Me's, no For You page. They've released a PSA saying, thanks to Trump, we worked something out on the remix and we're back for, 30, 60 days? Mm-hmm. So TikTok is...
While we're figuring it out.
Yeah, TikTok is essentially back.
But in like an interim.
Exactly. And I saw some people saying that even before, like a precursor to this TikTok ban, they've been noticing that their For You page is pushing out more right-wing content. Mm-hmm. So what do you think? Have you noticed a rise in right-wing content in general in media? And do you think that now that Trump has effectively saved TikTok, we're going to be seeing more and more propaganda, let's call it? Like, will these apps change even if they're back?
I definitely... And interestingly enough, I have seen a rise of right-wing media, but more on Twitter. And I mean, obviously, Elon Musk now owns Twitter, and he tweets as much as Kanye.
Unfortunately.
Like, he don't have no job.
Literally.
And a lot of times what he tweets, it's like, it's not, he's a quote tweeter. He'll quote stuff and be like, how sad, oh my God. But it's something that's super way off.
Masses.
A lot of it is misinformation. I have definitely 100% seen a rise of misinformation. Especially with all of, and we're going to get down into the specific laws and the specific things that Trump is trying to pass, but I've seen a lot of misinformation, a rise of that, like widely. Mm-hmm. Trump even said he'd be open to Elon Musk buying TikTok. And like we said, we already kind of knew this was like kind of a very gimmicky because the message they said, President Trump has saved TikTok or whatever from the actual app. He wasn't even president at that time. So it's really interesting. It
was right before the
verbiage was very interesting. Like he already calling him president. He already came in as a savior. And I do agree with people who said it was a hoax. Like it was very, very like for so long people been very rehearsed, very
convenient.
They didn't even wait. Like it didn't even shut down when it was going to shut down. Shut down early just to come back before the next, you could sleep and miss the whole TikTok is gone and back again. So yeah, I do see, to answer your question, I have seen a rise in right-wing media. And I didn't try myself, but I saw a lot of people saying that on TikTok after it was reinstated. If you ever Google stuff like Trump rigged the election, or you Google stuff like Palestine or anything like that, it would say like no searches available. So it was definitely that kind of stuff. They were definitely censoring a lot more information, and which makes sense though, because when it's a Chinese app, they didn't have any reason to censor. But I feel like when it's a U.S. app and it's controlled by
people who have those interests of keeping us uninformed.
Exactly. It only makes sense that, and I feel like because I do think TikTok's going to stay. And I think when it does stay, it's going to be a different TikTok when it comes to politics, because TikTok was a place where people mobilized widely and got a lot of information on what was happening in real time, on key topics. Yes. So I feel like politically wise, and it's scary because TikTok and Twitter, not just TikTok, you know what I mean? So it's like both apps, if they're both skewing more conservative and they're censoring things that are left or just like even moderate, there's so much more potential for danger of misinformation, of brainwashing people. But what have you noticed?
An echo chamber. So I've noticed the same thing. There's been an increase in right-wing media in general, but especially when it became just so heightened to me was during the election. So Elon had already gotten rid of the check mark thing, right? And that, like before, like blue checks. Blue checks used to be for people who've been verified.
I didn't know if they were gone.
Accounts that not gone, well, gone in the old sense, right? Okay. So before you had to earn the check, you had to be a journalist or somebody published, a leader in your field, someone that's a reputable source in general. Of course, people slip through the cracks, but in general, that's how you got a check pre-Elon. Once he took office, anyone could buy a check for $5 a month. So that obviously is going to decrease credibility. And he said he was doing it to even the playing field and to make free speech a thing. But you can't really say that and then contradict yourself by suppressing the kind of free speech that you don't like. Yeah. And especially when people, like when we learned about October, Gaza, people's posts were censored even then. You could tweet the word Jew, but like you can't tweet, you know, like Palestine or whatever. Exactly. Yeah. Or you get flagged, all that kind of stuff. So during the election as well, we were seeing Elon overtly and covertly endorse Trump. Like we would see ads, because ads are supposed to be targeted to you and your algorithm and who you are as a person. I was seeing right-wing ads when that's never been my body. Right. Like it was crazy out of nowhere. And he was saying things like he would incentivize people to vote for Trump by entering them in a lottery to win $1 million. It's just a lot of nonsense. Illegal. And then you go to Instagram, what's his name? Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg himself, the whole checkmark thing, again, you used to have to earn a verification on Instagram. He made the requirements more lax for people with checks on Instagram as well. So that, of course, no one looks to Instagram for news, but all these things work in tandem. And then we all know what Facebook is, cesspool. So I think that we can look forward to, unfortunately, in the future, more misinformation, more ease of information on purpose, like not accidental misinformation, people being misinformed, it actually being pushed and pumped because they benefit by us being uninformed and they know this and they're going to stand on that. And we made a little progress, but it's like 10 steps backward. So I'm not really optimistic about things going back to the way they were, even if TikTok does stay.
Another thing about the whole blue check thing is that like, so whenever the way Elon Musk went about that is like now you can pay to have Twitter Blue, but then you get paid because the incentive to get Twitter Blue is so you can get paid through engagement. So now people are saying things that are inflammatory because that's how, and even besides that, the way misinformation works prior to, I don't know the stats now, but prior to Elon Musk buying Twitter, misinformation really only came from like 3%, I think was the amount of but the way the algorithm works, it pushes things that have a high volume of, you know, like interactions, whether it's negative or positive. And so now when you have even more people looking for interactions, they're going to say even more silly stuff, and that, you know, it only more into itself. So it's just like,
it's terrible.
It's horrible. And we are in an era of serious misinformation. Whenever you have someone who is the head of Doge, which is not even a real sector in the government, you have them over here. He's quoting tweets about different things that Trump is trying to pass. Like, can you believe that people are doing X, Y, and Z? And it's like, it's literally not true. But then you'll see 100K likes. Yeah. 100K retweets.
And if it gets attention, it's true automatically.
Exactly. And that's how social media has worked well before Elon Musk got into the game, to be fair. If something has enough engagement, enough action, okay, well, maybe it is real.
Exactly.
And how much more so when the person's on stage with the president in his back pocket.
And doing the Heil Hitler salute.
Or should we say Trump is in Elon's back pocket? Who even knows
each other's pockets, pause. But literally, it's just so, I don't know where we're headed. I don't know what this means. And we were speaking off camera about the parallels between the American kangaroo court and the Nigerian kangaroo court. Because what is the difference between Tinubu appointing all his boys that mobilized for him and Trump up there with all his billionaire tech besties kissing and holding hands?
And we've never, ever seen, and obviously, that is why a lot of times when people are campaigning, whether it's for presidential or any other like political seat, they don't openly state who endorsed them because it becomes obvious whose interest you have at heart because it's who funds your campaign. Trump was very, very obvious and very open about who's funding him, who he's supporting, and then we've never seen a time where we have people who have all of our data and all of the money, like literally in the world, on stage, seated on
at the same
as if they're political, you know, at the same
pundits.
time.
Like, what are you doing?
I've never seen that in my life.
And you know what? This belies a lack of fear. And I think that we needed Luigi really bad. I'm not even trying to be funny, because I don't understand why the ruling class historically has always had a healthy fear of the people they're supposed to serve. You have to. That's what checks and balances are. That's what keeps people from doing things and being despots or turning into Emperor Nero. If you don't have a healthy fear of the people that you rule and are supposed to serve, you turn into a dictator. And we've seen him take office, make these huge claims, and like pass these orders that, to be fair, Biden did as well. Biden administration is just more quiet when they did. But I feel like Trump is a louder character. And again, that lack of fear, it's not just him being emboldened to do things that are not to our benefit, but his supporters, it's a trickle-down effect. We see the ripple effect since, 2018 when he took office. Every single year, people get less concerned with empathy for their fellow man. People get less concerned with what should be right, what should be ethical. We saw the rhetoric during COVID. People were refusing to mask up. They were refusing to get vaccinated. They were reposting propaganda. I just feel like it's a bad look, and I'm scared about where we're gonna go, because I've had conversations in real life, and this is what I was gonna ask earlier also. The conversations about social media is not real life. I really hate when people say stuff like that, because all these things, it's not an echo chamber. Like, they don't exist in a vacuum, I mean to say. Like, social media is a reflection of people's deepest, darkest thoughts and feelings. And now it seems to me like real life, the lines are blurring even more. And things people would normally say in their group chats or maybe on a burner, they're saying proudly in public
on
now.
their main account.
Exactly. And or in real life, like a conversation. I've had conversations with people who are supposed to be educated people who are established, they're well-to-do. Some of the things I've heard over the past year are so shocking to me. And again, I'm reminded of during the Lagos and Nigerian elections, people were saying they were shocked at family members that were educated, Wale Soyinka, people that were falling into APC propaganda. It's just, the parallels are so interesting. What are your thoughts?
And it's crazy because I'm happy you mentioned Tinubu's election and the parallels, because even the campaigning, we saw so many parallels. Trump's campaign was "Make America Great Again." Tinubu's was "Emile Con." Neither one of those have any kind of like.
There's no actual stance. You're not saying anything.
I have concept of a plan. That's what both of them give. I have like it's no stance. There's no
concrete.
Anything.
Exactly.
There's no social good. There's no nothing. It's just like it's me and I got it. Don't worry. You know what I mean? And I just think it's so interesting how people who alike people who were pro-Trump and pro-Tinubu, to this day, they still can't admit, like, ooh, I might have messed up. Or, ooh, they're still like, oh, no, let's wait and see. And I like how you said about how, like, you know, you brought it back to COVID. I feel like we're headed towards an even more individualistic society.
Yes.
I think that's so dangerous.
It's
and we saw that a lot with the election, how people who were literally immigrants were saying things like, you know,
do it the right way.
Do it the right way. Yeah, like I came here legally, so like, you know, like I'm anti-immigration, and then you see people who, oh yeah, my wife, we were in the process of getting her papers, and she didn't have it yet. She got deported. Well, it's like, what do you guys think? If you guys are all, what's that one saying that's like, they came from my neighbors, I said nothing, and they, and then, you know, like eventually, and they came for and they came for me, and there's no one around to say anything. I feel like we're headed towards, and I can't lie, like even though Americans, we are very nice, we're bubbly, we're jovial, we're very selfish as well.
Of course.
And we are the center of our universe, and it's getting even worse. Whenever you have, like you said, it's a trickle-down effect. Whenever you have politicians and a leader of a country who says things without thinking, tweets things, and he talks in a manner of, just not very considerate of people,
very brash
speaking. Of course, the
jarring.
people who are under your leadership, even if they're condemning Trump and the way he acts, with time, you start to also be, because everyone around you is talking more brash. They're saying things that you used to say in a
secretly,
DM or at
home. It was something to be ashamed of.
Talk. Now it's out in the open. Now what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? And I feel like it's scary. You know what I mean?
Scary.
It's really scary.
I was reading an article earlier, and I feel like it was actually discussed on an episode of Summer Roach, but in general, this has been a theme, how I love that you mentioned that we're heading towards a more individualistic society. I was reading an article about the new generation of cruelty and how people that just 4 years ago might have been posting black squares, I see you, I hear you, I stand with you during the BLM riots, posting support and those kinds of stances. there's a new section of the alt-right that's younger, that's hipper, that appeals more to young
shiny
people. Exactly. More shiny, more attractive. And basically their whole premise, as TMT or I think it was mine when it so succinctly put it, is their whole thing is you can be the person you were at 17, except be proud of it. Their whole thing is regression and being proud of shortcomings and thinking it's cool to look down on people or make fun of them and to have these kinds of views. And they're fighting to say slurs. Like, we joke a lot. Don't get me wrong. We will always tell a joke, but we won't tell you a lie. It's scary. And if young people who generally are more progressive, generally have more ideals to like kind of push, young people are supposed to push the generations out of their comfort zone for the greater good in general. If there's change happening generally, like for the past 50, 60 years or so, it's the younger generations. With the Vietnam War, it was university students protesting like, okay, this isn't right. You're supposed to have flexibility of thought. But the fact that now it's cool, and the same blue-haired barista that was making your drinks and putting like a Love Wins sticker on it in 2020 now might be the same person in a Reddit or a subreddit thread talking about immigrants or making fun of trans people or just things that make no sense. Yeah. And it's very backwards to me. And I feel like, what do you think is causing this rise of conservatism in the younger generation, like in the youth? Because really, it's backwards to what we understand. Like, why is that a thing? And do you think it's a small section of people, or is it really as widespread as that article and different things make it seem?
That's a really good question. Yeah. I feel like it comes up in a lot of it creeps up in different ways. Because like you said, the blue hair barista, she's on Reddit talking about trans people, but she's also on TikTok talking about clean girl makeup and cottagecore and being a trad wife. I feel like it comes at you in different angles. If one thing about social media, it's always glorified money. That's how Instagram got to its raise.
Very true.
We saw
flex
King
culture.
Kylie with her huge stack. It's flex culture. So whenever the people who are, and with Trump's policies giving tax breaks to the people who make more well-to-do, I feel like now it's even more than ever more. What do you say? How do you say, like, more,
a social marker?
Not more attractive to be rich, to be ignorant, to be. So I think it's like human nature. Even though young people have always been progressive and all that kind of stuff, people want to be among. And I feel like before it was cool to be woke and all that kind of stuff. It was cool
to be woke, exactly.
So now it's cool to be a dickhead, really, for being real. Now it's, and I think it was a slow change because we've seen so many shifts in our lifetime.
So many.
And I think we've seen it in different, even with leaders. When you have like, not leaders, but like pop culture leaders. When you have them now like, oh, I don't do these things anymore. I'm more conservative or whatever. And then you go on TikTok and here is, what do they call it? Modest girl clothing, which is not bad. Obviously
but
we're buttoned up
these
to
things
the top.
feed into each other.
They feed into each other. And then we have all this anti-feminism is actually her.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just
exactly.
a girl.
I don't want to work.
Exactly. Yeah. Even with and none of these things are bad on their own, but they all work, like you said, in tandem. So
and they point to a bigger thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And then also when you see these people who are these the youth, which we are part of, you're growing up and you're seeing how the mistakes that your parents made. I feel like they feel like, let me not fall into let me be on the winning team. Let me be with the people who have the money, who have the power, who have all this. And I think it's easier to divorce your morals whenever you have leaders, both political, both pop culture, and even down to the micro influencer who is pushing a certain lifestyle, pushing a certain ideal, So I think there's not one specific reason as to why like the youth is becoming more conservative.
All these things are working in tandem.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think like what could be like the main like driving factor, and I really don't know.
I think honestly, if I had to think about it, because those are all great points, and I agree 100%. There's all these messages kind of working to push the same ideal. Yeah. But I think that the main driving factor is accessibility. We're seeing all these ideals. And we've spoken about like the duty of care. We just spoke about like celebrities. Do they have a responsibility with their platform? Yeah. We've spoken about influencers. By default, inherently, if you have a large platform, you can reach a lot of people. Do you have a responsibility to choose what you're putting out there? Is you showing your lifestyle pushing an agenda? And I think that we can definitively say in 2025 it is.
Even if
whether that's your intent or not. Impact over intent. And I think that the difference now is, again, we have so much access to all these different opinions, lifestyles, viewpoints, words, stances at the same time. And the zeitgeist always moves. And right now, the pendulum has swung again. So where right is cool. And it's very, I don't know what's next. I don't know what to expect from this year, because it seems like where we are with the election, with everything, it seems like we've been heading this way for a long time.
We have.
So I'm like, something's got to give at some point. Like, we can discuss the tariffs because we're going to talk a little bit about Trump and what he's passed so far.
The orders.
Exactly. So he just signed an order. It was early February. As soon as he got in office, he didn't waste no time. He signed an order. He proposed an order proposing 10% import tariffs on China, 25% to our neighbors to the north and south, Mexico and Canada. Now, we get our produce from Mexico and we get our energy, our oil from Canada, which is so crazy because I didn't even really realize that until I was doing research. Because we have oil here, we have a lot of oil in Texas, but we're actually the biggest importers in the world. Almost $3 trillion worth of goods are imported to the US every single year. That's insane. So by proposing these tariffs, Trump is saying that he wants to encourage US companies to open factories here. He wants to open up jobs for Americans. Cool. Who is footing the bill? Who is footing the bill? It's going to be the consumer. So he proposed these tariffs, and then instantly he had to renege on what he said because Mexico said, we're going to do counter tariffs. And so did Canada. Canada said, if you do 25%, we'll do 26% for you. Like, they're not playing with him. And what did he do? He paused them. The only one that's gone through so far is the 10% tariff import on China for Chinese goods. And I saw when I was reading up, Biden actually did this as well in his administration. Like the first year, I believe, he also proposed a 10% tariff on China. So it's not new. I mean, China and the US have had beef for time, but I just think it's so interesting. And it was for things like electronics, lithium ion batteries, energy cells, things that we need for our phones, our technology. And I just think that, and then he also said a little bit, like, because the Chinese one is still going, but that also could be in the works. He said that he's not opposed to taking that back as well if they meet him halfway. But I just think that I want to ask you, number one, do you think that's even a good idea? Because we don't, everything we have in America, like I'm sure these tables, our iPads, these mics, everything we own is imported. So do you think that was A, smart? I probably already know what you're going to say. But B, do you think it's sustainable? And do you think that it's even feasible for American-made goods to be the new norm?
Okay, and let's get into that.
Right.
First of all, I think trying to get into some kind of funny trade war with your biggest,
literally,
it's just so absurd to me.
It's
and what's
so silly.
crazy to me isn't just like him trying to do the whole tariff thing. It's trying to abolish income tax because that's another part of his plan.
Okay.
Like, okay, we're gonna do tariffs, and he was saying we're gonna get rid of income tax, and what will replace that is the tariffs. But like, first of all, how long would that take to
actually yield any growth?
Especially when income tax covers things like Social Security, Medicare, things like SNAP, things like, all these different things that help the common
welfare
American
for the people, literally.
Number one. Number two, I'm happy that other countries are showing their muscle. I feel like Trump felt like, and I feel like a lot of Americans just feel like they're just so big and they can bully everyone.
Yep.
So I'm happy, even outside the whole tariff thing, I'm happy that, who was it, Mexico, or what country was it? We were trying
Mexico spoke, well, they both proposed tariffs, but Mexico, the lady said that she's going to, are you talking about the border control?
I'm talking about immigration, how he was sending immigrants in military planes, and they're like on shackles. Right. And they're like, if you're going to bring people back, bring them back with dignity. You can't bring them back. And he has to. Eats. And they're like, if you don't, we're going to put tariffs on you. And you can't bully your way into being a superpower. And
you know what's crazy? Sorry, to the immigrant thing, I want you to finish your point. But literally, it's to the point now where ICE has said that they're running out of room in their detainment camps. They're now putting these immigrants in prison, federal prisons. I just read an article that was published on the 7th of February in which they're saying, not only are we running out of room at ICE detainment camps, we're running out of room in these prisons. And also, they shouldn't be here. Constitutionally, it doesn't make sense. And it's also illegal.
It's not right.
It's not legal. And it's not ethical.
Like we said, obviously, these detainment camps are not, they've been happening since Obama, before Obama.
Before him,
obviously, but I think the way Trump is going around immigration and just, ICE and all these kind of things, and even trying to stop birthright, which a judge, and I'm happy these federal judges are like,
we're not going.
Chill.
Yeah.
We're not going for that. Like, the way he's even going about them, like day one, you have ICE going to schools. You want to take kids so their parents will come and claim them and you take a whole family. I just think the way he's going about it is just not. And I think also the American dream, I feel like it's threatened on so many levels.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to speak on. Okay, tariffs and work, and because the whole idea for tariffs is like to have an American first, blah, blah, blah,
right,
and to have jobs in this country. Can we be real for a second? The average American, first of all, the wages y'all pay overseas, you cannot pay in America because we have labor laws, number one. Literally. Number two, if we're being real, the average American feels too good to do certain things, certain jobs.
Absolutely.
The average American does not want to pick themselves up by their bootstraps. Let's be real. Like, let's be very, very real.
They'll tell you to do it as an immigrant, but they're not going to do that.
Thank you. They see certain jobs for certain people, and that's why the whole DEI situation, that's why everyone's in a frenzy now, because they didn't know they're part DEI. Babe, you're a woman. You are a veteran. You're disabled. You are DEI. It's not just black people. So I feel like...
Sorry to break it to you.
You know what I mean? So I feel like this whole plan of, we're going to have people... Do they ask you for that? do they want to go? Who's going to be the factories? Like, who's going to do these? Do you know what I'm saying? And then even besides that, okay, we let's say we build these factories in America. First of all, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to go somewhere, a different country. Like, we're going to have tariffs.
Because let me tell you, the corporations are not paying that. They're not paying that. They're not doing that.
They're his friends. He knows they're not paying that.
Exactly.
So what really is
the
it?
Point. I don't understand. I really, really don't get it. And I feel like this all, because I just had this conversation, and I was even at work. Oh, God. That's how you know they're getting more comfortable. Someone told me, yeah, but don't you think it'll be good for American jobs? I said, who do you think is going to pay that? It's going to come out of your taxes. It's going to come out of your bills.
The product is more important.
Exactly.
Everything about it is going to be more.
Why do you think this is smart? And I just don't understand. And I feel like one thing, I was listening to a podcast, Subtle Urban Sex Appeal. Love them. I was listening to Sousa. No, shouts out to Sousa. And he was saying that this is just so interesting because people are about to realize that, like you said, your DEI, and also the reason for all your failures in life is you.
Hello.
We had nothing to do with that. I want to literally touch your hand as I say this. We are not the reason that you're so far behind in life. And I feel like I saw him, I'm going to assert something he said, hot take, very controversial. But he said that one thing that was so shocking about this election is the fact that you guys think you're doing black people. We're not the ones that are going to suffer the most, especially when we look at
figured out how to...
Exactly. We figured out how to move and survive. If we got through slavery and colonization, we can get through anything. Hello. That's number one. But he said specifically, the people who are going to suffer the most are poor white people and non-blacks that are for Trump, conservatives, because look what's happening right now. Oh, yeah. Look what's happening right now. Look who you voted for. And the poor whites specifically, y'all are so mad at your lot in life because you think that, these people are coming here and they're taking our jobs. You're not qualified to be an engineer, babe. You're not qualified to be a doctor.
And you know what? I didn't want to go that far to say that average American's lazy. The average American so far, education is falling, and they want to even get rid of the Department of Education.
Like, do you get? It
Look
doesn't
at
make
our
any
future.
sense.
They can't read. They can't write.
Literally,
they don't know. They don't know what a rhombus is. Whoa,
can't even draw it.
The kids are, and the kids are not all right. Oh my gosh, who was president during the pandemic? Whenever education starts to fail, Trump. Like, can we not see where this is going again?
And I just don't. Like, and then he went as far on Sousa as to say that Black people, specifically, if we're talking about immigrants, Black immigrants do well. Immigrants in general have a working hard, a hustle mindset.
Because you came there to
do what we need to do. We came here to do what we need to do. So because, according to Sousa, and I really, really agree, this is anecdotal. This is just our lived experiences. We have research to back up our earlier points. We're going to link everything in the description. Read. Don't just take what we say as fact. Actually read.
And not just us. Don't see what you see.
Exactly.
Anything you see online, please
do your research. Literally.
It doesn't hurt you to look for God. Google it. Read about it, and then be like, okay, this is what I believe or don't believe.
But anecdotally, Malik was saying of Sousa, he was saying that because now Black immigrants, Black people as a general now, like we do well, we're achievers. Black women, immigrant or not immigrant, we're the most highly educated group. Yep. We are upwardly mobile. We are gainfully employed. We are doing better than we have been doing for the past, like, God knows how many years. We are literally doing what y'all tell us to do, pulling yourselves up by the bootstraps, and y'all are not happy about it. So now they're thinking of how to get more cheap labor. The schools to prison pipeline was not enough. And also Black immigrants largely do not get, those things don't really happen to us. Like, there's outliers, but whatever. So now what are they looking at? They're looking at the Hispanic population. I'm so sorry. It's not a coincidence that all of a sudden, you know how many people are in these ICE detainment camps. It's not a coincidence that now they're getting sent to federal prisons where you have to do what? Work. Free and cheap labor. Yeah. You have to work. And who knows how long they're going to be there? And who knows?
It's so
There's
sick
no
that
guidelines.
Hispanics have become the face of immigration.
Literally.
When people from all ethnic backgrounds, different countries. Yeah. And it's so crazy because all these ICE raids are only happening in specific neighborhoods.
Exactly.
They're not happening in Italian, Irish.
Exactly. It's very intentional. You know what I mean? Very, very intentional. But you're doing, I will vote for Donald Trump. The song was good. Don't get me wrong. But what? Where you weren't dancing? I was a little hip rock. I will vote. Oh my God. I will vote.
You know the lyrics is crazy.
But I just don't understand, like, what incentive did y'all have? Because now look at, and you can't tell me you don't know someone. I actually had a conversation again with someone who was of Hispanic descent talking about, well, if you just did it the right way, you wouldn't have nothing to worry about. Let's talk about implementation. Do you really think that these people who are in charge of rounding these people up, do you think they're really checking everything twice? They don't care. If you look like you're guilty, you're guilty.
And do you think they care to make your passage to this country easy?
Exactly.
Someone who wants to round y'all up like animals, do you think they're going to be like, okay, all you have to do is fill this form and you're in?
Exactly.
They want a specific kind not an immigrant. And I want to talk about, you know, because obviously we said we're going to focus on the U.S., but immigration at large has been, and immigration is always going to be an issue, even in the biblical days. People don't want, this is my land, this is your land, whatever. But it's crazy because Canada's approach is way more softer. They said they have major issues with housing, with employment, and they're just scaling back on immigrants, period. In the UK, the Conservative Party is really cracking down, and the Conservative Party in the UK is led by a Nigerian immigrant, ironically, named Kemi Badenoch. And I don't know if you saw the video. I think I sent it on Twitter. But now they're proposing a whole new plan. If you want to come to the UK, I think it was 5 different things. I'm trying to see if I can remember all of them. One, instead of the 5 years you have to stay for residency, now it's 10 years. An extra 5 years for a passport. So 15 years to become a citizen and to get a passport. You have to have a certain... you have to meet a certain income requirement and have a certain kind of like degree. Like they're really vetting people out.
Very stringent.
If you have any kind of record or any kind of like crime record, you're out. If you have dependents, your income has to be that much more.
Wow.
What else? If you and this one was the weirdest and sickest one to me. If you have ever applied for any like benefits, social benefits, you're done. Yeah. Yeah,
that's actually insane.
That's what an immigrant is proposing.
And this is
for
immigration.
Yeah, for the UK.
And it's so crazy because London and Europe in general has a better rap with welfare and social welfare services,
if you
social
ever
programs.
Benefit from welfare programs, you can't even apply.
Wow, someone who's
an immigrant, and
that's
so it's
crazy.
like whenever we see that kind of rhetoric coming out from, and obviously. At least that's from one party. This is from the president. You know what I mean? That party is... Well, I actually don't know who's in power in the UK.
I think Labour Party's in power.
Okay, so this is the Conservative Party. And I think there will be pushback just because the UK has been an immigrant country for so long.
For so long.
Yeah, and I think since Brexit, they're just all scrambling and just everything's a mess. But like immigration as a whole is under fire. I think one of the worst times ever. There's so much conflict in the Middle East, in Africa. Economies are failing by way of the West. And now the West is saying you cannot come into our country. And then you have immigrants in the country championing them, saying like, yeah, don't come. I think it's just so sick. And it brings us back to what we said earlier. We're moving into an individual society, not just in America, but in the West as a whole. And it's just so bad. It's just so bad. It's so evil. Like, then what?
Literally, then what? Like, I don't even know where to start from because it just seems like Labour Party's in office. Labour Party's in power. Trump is in power. His party's in power. And then we haven't even gotten to the healthcare of it all. We haven't even gotten to the healthcare of it all. From pulling us out of the UN and the World Health Organization to cutting back research, and you're in public health. Do you want to talk more about what you found?
So Trump, I'll talk about U.S. aid, foreign aid, as well as health, what he's doing with health. So with foreign aid, he put a 90-day stop order to review all of so NGOs, any kind that helps foreign aid. And foreign aid isn't only, I don't think it only is specifically like money that goes overseas. Some of it also, affects the US.
Right.
But they're trying to, and these are programs that fund vaccines, fund HIV and other disease, like, programs, prevention programs.
Like tests, preventative medication.
Exactly.
Like those kinds of things.
Programs that provide clean water, that, do all these kind of social, this goes back to the whole individual thing. Like, if another country is failing and they're suffering, do you not think that's going to affect you too? They're going to want to come here more.
Exactly.
They're going to want. I don't know. It's just evil. But anyway, he put a 9-day stop order, and while they review all these programs and all these NGOs and what they're doing, but in that 9-day stop order, people cannot work. So that means a lot of women, a lot of children, a lot of people, millions of people's lives are at risk right now, as well as American staff that lives overseas that work in these countries to implement those programs.
Because who do you think is going to get the brunt of it? And then also, if you want to create jobs, why do you think that cutting these governmental like the world, like pulling us out of, you don't think that you're doing way more harm than good?
And
I don't get it.
Because the U.S. aid one is just crazy, but I feel like foreign aid has always been like a hot button topic, especially for conservatives. Right. But I think it's even worse with the whole scientific research, what they're doing with the CDC and the NIH. So basically what Trump did, he put a pause on them as well. No communication, so you can't, no publications, no like official correspondence about any kind of disease or any kind of anything. And then all grants, research. So the way research works is usually through universities or research organizations. They get grants and funding from the government or different organizations. They do their work, they publish it. So he's saying the work can continue, but you guys can't publish, and we're going to review all your money, basically.
That's crazy.
And so right now, they've already decided they're going to cut funding. Because at first he's like, we're doing a pause. They've already decided they're going to cut funding. So the way research works when it comes to money, because I work on a COVID research project, and I work with the finance department. So basically, we have money that we have for like the actual research, and we have something called indirect costs. Indirect costs is what pays staff, number one. Number two, it pays for things like let's say, because I work on a COVID project, so like shipping COVID samples, the dry ice you need, the boxes you need, paying FedEx, just like
collateral costs,
or like even like the machinery running all the the things they use to sequence, all that kind of the actual literal, like the overhead costs. And he's saying they need to reduce, because those costs do amount for a lot, because I mean it is a lot of the work. He's saying that, and it's usually around like I think 60% of research projects, like the funding. He's saying that they want to cut down to 15%.
What the hell are we going to do with 15%?
And so now I was reading on Reddit this morning, they've already asked the CDC to provide the list of their less valuable employees. People are getting laid off already.
That is insane.
They're starting to cut that, because I mean, if they can't pay people, how are they going to be there?
I just saw someone say just the other day, I was in Columbia, I was attending school, graduate school, I had a job secured, I was lined up, and literally 3 weeks from now, I'm unemployed. I've graduated with no prospects. He's literally setting back an entire generation of people.
So many people post back programs are stopped. A lot of people that are getting admitted to different programs here and there because of the NIH funded,
exactly. Where's the money for it?
Exactly.
If you're doing doctoral work, it's grant funded. You can't work while you're doing that kind of research. You get paid to study.
Exactly.
What are people going to do?
All those kind of things are now put on pause, or even just like rescinded fully.
And it's just like intellectualism.
It literally that. Literally. It's like scientific research is what everything needs to be researched. Like you can't just have something without research. So it's like the fact that you're trying to pull back on scientific research is crazy to me, especially in a time where there's so much misinformation,
so many things. And you know what? They have no incentive.
So much illness.
So
much illness from sedentary behavior. We have so many diseases. Like let's just start there. And then we have
global warming, things being unearthed.
And then we have, like you said, bird flu. We have COVID. We have the regular flu. We have so many other.
And then with all this anti-vaccine, herd immunity isn't even as strong as it used to be. With all the propaganda that's pushed, and we keep saying this, there's no incentive, especially in this country that's so money hungry. There's no incentive to have a well-informed, well-researched, well-read group of people. We saw when they started attacking doctors and researchers during COVID. That's when we should have known under Trump. That's when we should have known where we were headed. Yeah, you're literally taking you're doing the no read list has never been longer. They're wanting to revise education in schools, and they wanted to actually take education back and give the mandated things that we need to learn in school back to the states, which is crazy because there's so many slow states. I don't understand, like, what do you think is going to happen? America's been falling and falling and falling. The empire, we're actually witnessing and living in the downfall of the American empire.
So now we're going to see inflation, more misinformation, less, because even besides misinformation when it comes to health, these, like, for example, my project, it informs vaccines.
Exactly.
It informs just like, where is COVID? What strain of COVID is
what does it look like now?
What does it look like now? What are the symptoms now? So when you don't have that kind of information, what happens?
Exactly.
How do you inform vaccines? How do you know where COVID is a hotspot? How do you know where the new strain that was found in China or London or South Africa, how do you know that it's shown up now in Texas? It's in Dallas, it's in Houston, it's in San Antonio. How do you know those things if people aren't looking into that kind of stuff and they don't have funding?
And it's one thing to do this to the country, like to do this nationally, and it's another thing to do this and at the same time cut off our communication with world powers.
Exactly.
And other leaders, other people that are supposed to inform us. It's supposed to be an exchange of ideas across the aisle with our allies, with people who are industry leaders in their own right. How do you do this at the same time? Isolate us and do what? So you can rule over what? Ashes? And
what's crazy is pulling out from the World Health Organization, cutting back on research and scientific, just like knowledge in general, cutting back on education. All you're doing is giving China more iron to become the biggest boy. Because really,
they're pumping it right now.
They're pumping it. You leaving the World Health Organization is not going to make them like, oh my God, we can't do anything. It gives room for someone to step up, and someone's going to step up. It's not China, it's someone else. So it's like, that's our biggest threat. You're giving them more power, more leverage, more all of the above, based off of what? And my thing is cutting all the spending to put it where?
Literally.
Give it to Ukraine?
And
mind you, most of the U.S. aid goes to Ukraine.
Yes.
That's what's crazy. And mind you, they put a stop order on U.S. aid, but not Ukraine.
Of course not.
Not Ukraine,
it's a money
and
laundering front.
And not Ukraine and not Israel. But every other U.S. aid must be for 90 days. 90 days is a long time for people who are starving. They don't have water. They don't have house. They don't have anything.
3 good months.
As well as people who work. So after you put let's say everything goes well and the stop order, everyone can move on as normal with no budget cuts. Who's going to pay them for those 3 months they didn't work?
It's not going to be Trump. I can tell you all that much right now.
And then, like, how much 3 months of people who are already suffering is... Do you not... Like, what's that going to do for them?
He said you could take it. And the Ukraine thing is so crazy because when I saw the map of the United Nations people that are actually giving money to Ukraine, why is the U.S. giving more money than all the countries combined? Does it make sense?
Of course they are.
It doesn't make sense to me.
And
like,
they'll take those refugees.
Always. Blue hair, blue eye, blonde hair, good,
they won't be
you're
in any
good.
camp.
And at the same time, you have people doing the Heil Hitler salute. And when I saw the ADL, who's supposed to speak out against anti-Semitism, tweet against Kanye West, because Kanye is insane, we all know that. But how do you call Kanye West an anti-Semitist?
I don't even know.
How do you call him an anti-Semite? There we go.
Period.
But in the same breath, you're excusing a Heil Hitler salute from the South African...
At an inauguration.
At a federal event where he shouldn't even be, if we're being real. It's so unethical, if not illegal, for a billionaire to be at this kind of stuff. But wait, y'all elected a billionaire felon. So I just don't know where we're headed. What is going on? It's so disingenuous.
Yeah.
At the same time, people are doubling down on their insane ideals. We have misinformation. We have people not reading. We have people not interested at all in thinking outside of themselves.
That's crazy to me because that's the biggest issue.
It's a lack of
people
interest.
Are not interested.
No.
They don't care. Like, oh, whatever happens.
Exactly.
And then they'll take from the few rubbish misinformation tweets they
and
saw.
quote it to you with a straight face.
And use that as a form of idea. But I do want to go back into foreign aid, U.S. aid, because even though they give a bulk of their money to Ukraine and Israel, that's not to say that they don't give a lot of money to other countries.
Of course.
Obviously, we said we're going to touch into Nigeria because we're Nigerian.
Yep.
A lot of the Nigerians were actually happy, and they were saying, because Trump is a very America first, and he isn't really interested in Africa and all the other nations that are not really doing much for him anyway. He's more interested in Gaza right now and recolonizing that place. But back to what I was saying,
crazy.
which is really, really, really crazy. And the way he's even framing it is even wilder to me, but whatever. Back to U.S. aid in Nigeria. I saw a lot of Nigerians making videos, tagging Elon Musk, tagging Trump, saying that, yeah, take the aid because of the billions that we didn't know we were getting. We don't see it. And they're saying that most of this money is embezzled. David Hyundai, I always don't know how to say his name, who was a journalist, Nigerian journalist, who's
very
known for being outspoken and just like
at the
exposing.
Forefront.
Yeah. So he came out and he has receipts always. He came out, tagged USAID Nigeria, who deactivated, to this day they deactivated their account. He came out with records saying that you all got this much money from America. We haven't seen it. Where is it?
Right.
Where has it been this whole time? So a lot of Nigerians, a lot of Africans in general are just saying that, like, you know what? Keep your aid because if not, we don't see the money.
It doesn't go to us.
It doesn't go to us. So what are your thoughts on that? And let's just go from there. What are your...
So my thoughts on, because first of all, y'all know Nigerian politicians, there's a special circle of hell. I think that it's so insane. And we could talk about the West and our downfalls all day. We know America's not perfect. We know the history of this country. We know what white colonialism, blah, 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 cool. At a certain point, you have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Right now, as it stands right now, we are not suffering in Nigeria because of white people. We're just not. Like, how can, you know how embarrassing it is? Even when we look at soccer, we can actually, it's every sector, this corruption. How can sports people, athletes, triathletes, miss their matches? She was supposed to go to the Olympics because why? Because they ate the money that was specifically designated for these people. Buses. Does it make sense? So when people are saying, you know what, keep it because we don't get it anyway, I agree, I support, and I think that it's a shame and it's so embarrassing that it even gets to this point. How can you, the money is in a duplex in Miami where these people's children are living and eating money and doing Get Ready With Me and their privately decorated, stolen money government. You see the thing about life thing, the crazy thing about life thing is, it's
low
sick.
exposure
it's
lifestyle.
So sick to me. It's so sick. What are your thoughts? I don't even know, like, it's just disgusting. I don't know what to say about that.
It is, and I agree, and I think the same thing with Kemi Badenoch. A lot of people were, because while I think those immigration rules she's trying to have,
she's insane.
But
with her
she
winter
speaks
boot.
openly about how she feels like a reason why Nigerians or just people should not just immigrate because people are somehow from their countries. And she talks about her hardships growing up in Nigeria up until the age of 16. I think Nigerians have this whole like anti-shame, don't shame us thing, but I think we need to be shamed some more.
100%.
I'm very happy people are coming out and saying, hey, the fact that the USA Nigeria Twitter handle has to this day they deactivated. That it's been a week.
And they're going to stay deactivated. That's the crazy part.
I think it's good. I feel like people need to be called out more. I think one big issue with Nigerians, like you said, is we can't blame everything on everyone that's white.
No.
We have to look internally. People do not shame people enough. People do not say, hey,
it's a culture of silence.
It's a culture of silence and a culture of
keeping it in the home.
Keeping it in the home or wait till it's my turn or let me see if I can break some law. Because a big reason why people don't speak up because they feel like, you know what, when it's my turn, I'm gonna need that. I'm
gonna do the same, exactly.
And I think now people are starting to see that you're never gonna get that. So now they're saying like, let me speak up, let me source okay for real. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not, you know, because how can they saying they sent, I forgot how much, it's like 36 bill.
Do you know what that means? Do you know what that could do?
Where driving on a road alone will make you so, and I can't speak for every state. I can speak for the states that I've been to, but every place that I've been to can be better. In the 2025,
it's humiliating. It
like
doesn't make
the
sense.
Fact that brain drain.
But African giant, right? And we're the head of ECOWAS, which if you don't know, that's like the West African UN, like a mini West African UN. What are we doing there? Why? Ghana should really take it.
And we're complaining about brain drain. Who want to stay in that the country that's like robbing people from their lives, and then you're finding out they're getting billions in aid, and people are just like, people are still, where's the aid going?
And I can't lie, at this point, yes, okay, cool. I understand every country wants to focus on itself. Aside from just shame, the same way that countries will sanction other countries and like kind of punish them, like the same, what Trump is doing, and we know it's not always with good intent. Most of the time it's bad intent. I think that there should be, if not the West, African countries as a whole should do something about corruption. Nigeria and corruption as a whole, because it's like, okay, we're always saying, okay, we have to fix our problems and start from house, like in-house. But at the end of the day, how long is it going to take? Because it's only getting worse. It's not getting better. There's no incentive for it to get better. That's what's going to happen to them. And nothing's going to happen.
One thing about, like, it's not just Nigeria. Like, I'm happy you brought up, like, Africa.
Africa's a country.
It is. And it's like, until everyone can function on their own and together, we're not going.
Y'all are going to timeout. You haven't earned autonomy.
We're not
if we're being real.
Anywhere. And it's like, I don't know, but I do, because even before we talked about how Trump's presidency could benefit like Nigeria and Africa in many ways, because but then again, I don't know though, because just like, and I know you and I have, well, I feel like we have the same views, but I'm just a little bit more hesitant. But I feel like the same way the U.S. stepping out of the World Health Organization was let China step up, is the same way the U.S. stepping out of Africa just lets China step into Africa more too.
And they've been doing great work. Their work, and I feel like they're more direct with it. Like we see where their money goes to. Right.
The U.S. aid money, we don't see where that goes to, and that's not the fault of America. That's the fault of whoever is in that U.S. Nigeria aid or Africa aid who's doing all those
if you're
NGOs.
selling out your people and you've been doing that for hundreds of years, I can't look at the people you're selling to. I'm looking at you. You have the duty of care. You have the responsibility to actually care about the people that you're supposed to live with, because you'll do your dirt in Nigeria and then go to France, the UK, US. Like, it's sick.
The fact that our previous president, people were saying he was a clone because the nigga was never in Nigeria.
He was not going to be there. And then Tinubu, who knows what he got going on. Probably dialysis right now, plotting how else to, like, it's just so sad and sick and twisted. And all we can do is what we're going to keep doing. We're going to keep updating y'all. We're going to give you the facts. We're going to let you read these things. We're going to link everything we talked about in the description.
And send us stuff that you guys see.
Because tell us what y'all know. We don't know everything.
Because what's crazy is, as we were, like, preparing for this episode, things that we were like saying, oh, Trump just did this. Oh,
rapid fire.
Next thing you know, a judge stopped it. Oh, actually, it's like it's like whiplash, political whiplash between the two countries.
Crinkum
and not even between countries. This is global because, and that's another thing too. When we talk about immigration, that's one point I wanted to make. We live in a global economy, in a global everything now. Yeah. There's what one country does. The left hand and the right hand are connected nowadays. It's not a thing where don't let the left hand know the right. No, everything is you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like a domino effect. So I feel like this whole like individualistic approach that America is leading with, I hope other countries don't lead with that too, because that's just the world will combust. Literally. The world is gonna combust. Like, the way we're going, I just don't know for anybody.
We owe things to each other.
Singapore and China and the UAE.
Why? Because they know how to not just in their own countries be honest and encourage and reward hard work, but they know how to work with other people. They know how to be philanthropic without being predatory.
And I will say on that note, I feel like the American dream is dying because America doesn't reward under Trump. It's not going to reward. It already doesn't right now. I can't lie.
It's not a merit-based society anymore.
It's not. It's not. And if America does not reward hard work, if American dream isn't that you can come here, because America up until now, it is the most socially mobile place, financially mobile place. But with the things that he wants to put in place, it's not going to be anymore.
You want to keep people stuck and under your thumb.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
So it's like, dang, let's see who the power is. Maybe we'll move there.
Blasia. I'm telling y'all, it's the era of Blasia. Like, facts. I just feel as though what China's doing, and if you don't know, just a little backstory about like what China's doing in Nigeria. For the past 4 years, they've been, I'm speaking of the past 4 years specifically, but this has been kind of, I'll say, a decade-long thing. But they've been proposing new shipping ports, for instance. They finished one in Lekki and they're working on doing one in the East, which is, honestly, people from the East have been talking about the infrastructure there and the opportunity, the potential for a long, long time. But they finished a port in Lekki. I want to say they only loaned maybe $3 billion to people that live in Lekki or whatever, like the government officials, whatever. Who knows how much of the money actually went to the project, but that's another story. They finished building in under 4 years. Do you know what that means? Do you know that if we're talking about this now, that thing will be in construction for 20, 30 years if the Lagos state was in charge of building it? Why? Because they'd be eating the money up and down.
It would take forever, and then would it even be?
Exactly. It wouldn't even be functional. So they built a new port, and already it's projected to amass about $30 billion in the first 1 to 2 years of it being there. So already it's supposed to make way more money in spades than we even owe to them. And they gave us a loan period, a grace period for like 20, 30 years. So I'm just like, okay, I get that when people say that, like, keep things African, keep things Nigerian.
But it's not working that way.
It hasn't been working. It's not going to work because who's fucking us over? It's Nigerians.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm ready to see what they have to offer. Maybe I should take some Mandarin. IBT Mandarin
You know
classes.
what, though? Mandarin is, I think if anyone learning a language right now, Mandarin is going to be the best. And even besides that, China, even before now, if you're doing business of any kind of sort, I think Mandarin is...
It's smart. It makes sense.
It's the best language to learn because that's the language of who's making the money, calling the shots.
Who's making the moves.
Mandarin. They speak Mandarin.
From DeepSeek to the port in Lekki to the port in Port Harcourt.
Hello. We didn't even mention DeepSeek and AI.
Exactly.
How long? I think 24 hours after Trump announced he was investing $500 billion into AI data centers in Texas, which doesn't even have the power grid. Let me tell y'all, as Texans who have lived in 3 cities in Texas, if we get a little bit of snow, too much rain, people lose power. People lose power for days.
Why are my parents using generator? We don't I don't understand. Why were they using gen for almost a week?
And then there's car accidents because none of the stoplights are working.
It's just
y'all want to bring data centers to Texas?
We don't have the infrastructure for that, babe.
So 24 hours late. And mind you, what I found? Because like you said earlier, we didn't know that Canada supplies so much of the U.S. with power.
And energy,
The North is all... I was like, wow. I was thinking like, okay, how come the power grid over there, they're using the nation's power grid? It's Canada's power grid the whole time. Anyway, 24 hours after Trump announced he was doing investing $100 billion.
Idiot.
China comes out with DeepSeek, which is free,
open source,
and takes way less energy, way less harmful to the environment than AI that have been
draining everything.
What? And it's just like, dude, and they built it for 10%, from 10% of the money.
Cost,
But to be fair though, you just made something that already exists better. But like,
and to be fair, they can do this also because why? The same way Trump is talking about fake ass opening new jobs, U.S. Americanism. Let's do it in America. Whereas China is just silent and they actually do and build things in that country.
When everyone is educated, there's room for and everyone has the same reach.
You push progress.
There's people who you have to be A, educated, B, you have to be in the place to where you can even have those opportunities.
Exactly.
This is not an equal opportunist place, and getting rid of things like DEI makes opportunity even worse.
The gap widens.
It widens. So when you don't have as many people trying to figure out or solve a problem, you don't have people opportunity or the resources.
Yeah. If people are hungry, they cannot innovate. Like, I don't understand why people don't understand that.
Listen up.
Literally.
U.S., look at Nigeria, no shade. Like,
okay, that's where we're headed. I'm sorry.
Mind you, by 2050, 1/3 of the world is going to be African. Because population of, that's not a good thing.
Igbo men, damn.
I know. But even besides that, because Nigeria specifically, the youth are the majority of the population, but the youth are jobless. Because it's not jobs in Nigeria.
Exactly. It's not a meritocracy.
Outside there's no jobs, there's no future, no security in Nigeria. Outside of politics, outside of what? A few...
Outside of scamming. And being rewarded for bad behavior does what? But encourage the next generation.
Yeah.
What is the point?
Yeah.
What incentive do I have to work hard? What incentive do I have to go to school? Let me just scam. Let me be a scammer's girlfriend. Or sell or do runs. We just can't. And we're regressing. And that's happening in this country also. It's just so weird.
I don't understand how it doesn't look at other countries. When you see other countries, people don't have the same resources.
Exactly.
Don't have the same reach. Don't have the same incentive to do this. You see how people just falling themselves.
Exactly.
Why would you not want to model your country and you're trying to make this country even greater?
You're not going to be
the exception. How is that going to work? I don't know. I feel like a lot of these plans are short-sighted.
Very.
And they have the interest of him and his croonies at heart.
Literally.
Which we can see by the inauguration.
Those people in that front row, literally involved. I don't know what to say, but I know that we are going to be all right because we have to be. I'm talking about us. I don't know for the other people. Poor whites, you're about to get the wake up of your lifetime. You're about to really see.
But what's crazy is you would. I don't understand because it wasn't like he was president before. You would have thought that during.
But people are tribalist. That's the thing. At their core, people will pick someone who you have nothing in common with this person, but because you think they represent what you think you are, you'll just go for it. You'll close eyes. Same thing with Tinubu. You think this person is for you, but you have no incentive to actually support this person.
He just introduced some kind of tax on imports, increased tax. That guy, him and Trump, they would get so long. They do not give a damn.
They don't care about what y'all going through. And in fact, suffer more.
They don't believe everybody love it. They're not believing everybody eat. I was like, wow, the way y'all was past things, and y'all don't even think about how will this affect the people that I'm supposed to represent and take care of and govern.
They don't care. They never cared.
Shocking. It's almost so shocking that it's not shocking anymore when you see new headlines.
We're jaded.
And we're so early into both presidencies. And it's like, dude, what?
Who knows? Who knows what's next, y'all? All we can do is report as we've been doing. Again, we're not going to promise to be unbiased, but we will promise to give you the facts so you make up your mind and we'll tell you ours.
And I think more, like Natasha said, now more than ever, it's so important to do research. And it's just crazy though, because it's a war on journalism too.
Literally.
Journalism and research
They've been attacked.
They've been attacked. So it's like,
all the intellects, the scientists,
now.
The writers, the journalists, like these people, we are literally suffering. We're struggling.
Because even leading up to Trump's presidential, inauguration, all that kind of stuff, and just the campaign, so many people were scared to even report or have any anti-Trump anything, just because they knew that when he came in office,
he's gonna come back for it and
get
you.
And he has.
Literally.
And then this whole free speech country, all of the what is it?
It's nonsense.
It's all these ideals that we go on. Besides Second Amendment, free speech is being threatened,
attacked. While they're doing it, they're attacking it with one hand and then with the other saying, oh my God, I'm doing this for you guys. I'm actually doing this to help you, to benefit you. I've seen this before. And I've seen this before in Europe, circa the Third Reich. I'm sorry, what's actually going on? And then you're doing Heil Hitler salutes.
And
are y'all crazy?
I feel moving forward, what is it with all these leaders being so old? People are saying that. Have you seen that? I think I sent to you how they were showing Trump wearing stroke shoes
with the tilt
leaning over
with the posterior tilt.
And it's so crazy how he was bullying Sleepy Joe.
Yeah,
you guys are age mates.
Literally, that's your guy.
They're literally 3 years apart. You know that's so crazy.
He's insane. He thinks because of orange hair dye and fake tan that he's different. Dude, you're gonna die. Do you know that? And I understand, wait, do y'all know that you actually have to reckon with something? I don't know if it's living life untouched. I mean, to be fair, there's no consequences.
There isn't.
He's a felon and he's in the seat. Meanwhile, you're deporting and detaining ICE people in jail. I don't understand.
And then allegedly
make sense?
prepping Barron Trump, his son, to now be
that Reddit
and people are like, oh my gosh, people loving him. People are just so easily swayed though. It's crazy.
Impressed, tribalist, and just stupid, honestly.
Plain and simple.
That's all we got for y'all, honestly. Send us y'all's thoughts. Send us an article if you read. Please read. Please, God, please read. And we'll link everything we spoke about so you can do your own research.
Actually, too.
Literally. You can do your own research, formulate your own opinions. We encourage free thinkers. Please. Love y'all. Send us some messages, emails, voice notes, questions. We'll be doing an Ask IBT very soon.
Yes.
So our Curious Cat's going to be up so you can send any anonymous thoughts, questions, comments, concerns.
Dilemmas, everything.
Yeah. We love y'all. Mwah. Bye.